So games concluded. We got Colin. We also have Joaquin, who's an Atletico fan. As you guys can see, he's rocking the away shirt. We'll first let Joaquin open up the floor, talking about the game. Ended 3-1. Honestly, I think Sounders fans going into this wouldn't have minded a 3-1 loss. Like on paper, that doesn't sound bad, but obviously every game has context. Joaquin, what was your thoughts on the game and all your thoughts on everything from both sides?
Yeah, I'd say absolutely no disrespect to Sounders when I, preface how I'm going to talk about Atletico. I think from my standpoint, I'm trying to, compare what the caliber of opposition we're going to be facing in the Champions League, trying to compete with Madrid and Barcelona for a title. And I think if this is the way we play, even against Botafogo in the last game, I think we're going to have issues and talk about a potential game with like Palmeiras in the knockouts in this tournament. We'll have issues. I think it wasn't convincing enough. Even if we created a lot of chances in the first half, wasn't convincing enough. There's very few players that I come away with from that game who played well. Like you were saying during the game, like Simeone, I thought he was excellent. I thought Barrios was excellent. Llorente is always like really good. But other than that, it's like the core of Atletico is like a very aging team. With that all being said, I think Sounders, in terms of like respect to the MLS and not letting yourself get trampled over by objectively a very, very good upper tier echelon European team, I think Sounders did pretty well. I think all of this is kind of like, it's unlucky for the Sounders at the first game. I think could have very easily been a Sounders win. And you're talking about maybe miraculously getting a tie against PSG when they might rest some guys after getting 6 points. But I think that was the big one. It's like getting 3 points against Botafogo and making the group stages interesting. But I think you guys have very much done all you can. I think all things considered, right? It's like it's very hard to win these games against good European teams if you don't have like a standout player that can kind of change the game. It's like today, Inter Miami, they're so bad defensively, but if Messi plays extremely well, they can win a game. And look at them, they won against Porto today. It's like Sounders realistically don't have that guy.
So I was going to ask you that as someone outside looking in, what did cost Seattle? Because as we all know, Seattle realistically weren't going to get out of this group, but what could they have done to at least set themselves up better? As someone that watched both of these games, what was the missing piece for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I see from this game, it's like Atletico, we have a lot of older players, and kind of putting the team under physical stress constantly throughout the game would have made a bigger difference. I think where Sounders may have made a mistake early on in the game was giving us too much respect and not taking it to us on the physical battle, because it's like we're playing Koke, who is like not good for most
Ancient.
Yeah, he's old, and and our center back dude, it's like Jimenez is injured half the year. De Normand had a horrible like head injury and didn't play well all year. So it's like, and Galan, it's like we're trying to actively replace him with Andy Robertson right now. So it's like
we've heard a lot of great things about Galan, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, so it's like you're playing against a team that clearly isn't fielding what they want to have as like the starting lineup going into their La Liga season. Like, make the most of that. Go after them physically. I think like the Sounders clearly started waking up a little bit in that, I'd say 20, 25 minute mark of the game, when they actually started to press Atletico a little bit higher up the pitch. And I think part of it is because the only real press resistant center midfielders we have right now are DePaul and Barrios, and DePaul had a shocking game. So
is he the only one that had a shocking game based off this comment?
I mean, I just saw Taco Kid's comment. Funnily enough, Sorloth, he's like an incredible runner. He creates great chances. I think today was just like an off game. Like the finishing just wasn't
and last game against PSG.
Yeah, I mean that sitter he missed was obviously shocking.
So maybe might be an off tournament.
Yeah, I think like the Frey save was nice. Like it was a nice save, but obviously he should be bearing that.
Colin, let's take it to you now. Obviously, you know the team very well. What was your thoughts on this game? Basically, I mean, at this point, Seattle are not obviously 100% eliminated, but they are eliminated pretty much from the tournament. Like, if we're going to be honest here. What are your thoughts on this game and kind of just like the whole thing in general with Sounders and Club World? And you can keep it kind of brief for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, this game, I think 3-1 was definitely a generous scoreline. I think we maybe should have lost by a bit more, but I'll take a 3-1 loss to Atletico Madrid. You know, that's before the tournament, I would have been happy, like more than happy with that. You know, I was expecting us to get slaughtered 4-0 to Botafogo. We lost 2-1 to them, and I honestly felt we could have won that game. So I think overall these performances have been just better than I was expecting. And then again, we're just missing that key player that can actually finish the ball. But
Yeah, and I think that's the frustrating part. We were talking about that during our stream is all Seattle needed was just like Joaquin says it like for example, obviously this is an extreme, but it's another MLS team. Inter Miami, most likely are going to go through in their group. And they had a very impressive performance against Porto. Again, Porto Atletico, obviously varying competition, but I would say Porto and Botafogo might be very similar in regards to caliber. I think we could relatively say that. And they have that X factor to help them win the games to advance in these type of things. And I'm not saying Sounders need to go out and get a Messi type of player, but obviously there's these glaring issues of Sounders need a striker. Sounders need a guy that can make a difference for them in the game. I think to a degree, Ryan Kent has been that. He's hit a little bit of form. We thought Pedro was going to be that. For some reason, the ownership and Craig thought Ferreira was going to be that, even though I could have told you that was not the move. And again, I totally agree with you, Colin. On paper, before going into this game, before going into this tournament, 2-1 loss to Botafogo, 3-1 loss to Atletico, I would have been like, fuck yeah. Sign me up for that because that was way better than what I thought could have happened. Granted, again, I'll tie this back. We were incredibly fortunate to not have conceded more goals. I think we were very Sorloth missing 2 pretty good chances. Julian Alvarez missing, honestly, a sitter. Like, it was for me, it felt like it was almost a tap-in. You diced everybody. Fry was 1 foot on the ground. You just got to dink it in, and then it pulls it wide. And the good positive part was Seattle scored, and it was another deflected goal, which I would love if we scored it like, clean strike goes in. And one thing I want to say is I think a player that stood out a lot for me personally was Georgie. When he came on, Georgie just instantly, right when he came in, almost assisted Ferrer if it wasn't offsides, taking on players, creating half chances. I really would want to see him get minutes in that next game against PSG. And as Oklahoma kids, shout out to him, goated member, Christian Roldan, Obed Vargas. But like, I just don't want to, I don't need to give him credit because we know they're the reason why this team is so good. Christian Roldan, Obed Vargas are the players that give me the will to live. That midfield duo is what makes me want to actually sit down for 2 hours or go to a Sounders game. Those 2 guys were great today. Obed getting the hockey assist for the goal, getting it to Musovski, who lays it down. And again, as much as Musovski missed a few chances, like granted, he wasn't great either. I think Oblak makes a good first save. Probably could have done better on his second attempt. If you guys know what I'm talking about, I can't remember what minute, some point in the second half. But again, it just shows a little bit of you have a true striker. He's setting up Rusnak. He's a guy in the box that can make a difference. We saw Ferreira couldn't be that for us in this game because he had countless opportunities in the box, not good positioning, not being in the right place, not staying on sides. All in all, I think we can be pretty happy with the Sounders' performance in this tournament. I think it just bums me out because we really could have showed ourselves up even more if we set ourselves up just that little bit more for success. I think that's the big thing. And big shout out to Beyond the Path for a super sticker. Shout out to you guys for donating. We will be live again for the match against PSG. So make sure to be subscribed, have those notifications on, turn on the notifications for that match against PSG. But it's just a bummer. I think that's the best way to wrap it up. It is a bummer that Seattle couldn't have made that history of getting a draw, getting a win, like in the game against Botafogo, and really just going into these last 2 games against PSG and Atletico more interesting. Because I think, let's say you go into that final game against PSG with 3 points, I think that you're bumping up those attendance numbers, even though it's a Monday at noon. You bump up the attendance numbers going into this game. Again, even though it's at 3 p.m. on a Thursday. Those are the things that makes fans excited. But fans know before the ball is even kicked, well, we haven't made roster moves to set us up for success. So why am I going to show up or spend my money or give my time for something like that? We can be proud of the performance, but there are issues the team needs to address. And I would have loved if we did that going into this tournament because, like, I don't know if we will at some point. But final question, we're going to wrap it up here. So there's been a lot of talk to Joaquin about Albert Vargas. He's a huge Atleti fan, loves Griezmann, XYZ, most likely going to be leaving the team at the end of the summer. Would Joaquin sign someone from the Seattle Sounders to Atletico?
No.
Well, there you go.
I don't think so. I think at this point, if we're signing someone from the Seattle Sounders, we've got issues.
We're cooked.
Yeah, and no, that's no disrespect. I think we need to aim for a little bit more than that.
Higher.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna end it there, guys. Thank you so much, Joaquin. Obviously, Colin, we'll see him more often. Guys, that's gonna be the end of the stream. This is gonna be clipped out as review. Hopefully, we'll have a match vlog out as well. Boys and girls, make sure to smash a like button on the stream if you haven't already, or a like on the video, however you're going to be watching this. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're going to be pumping out content. As I said, PSG match, finishing off the MLS season. This is the place you need to be, getting fans' opinions from Sounders fans. So you already know the drill. As Roca did right now, like and subscribe. But boys and girls, I hope you all have a lovely day.